What's up, everyone? Welcome to season 2 of the Patel and Kumar show. I am Shiva Patel, coming to you live from San Antonio, Texas, and my co-host, Mr. Kumar, coming to you live from Mumbai, India. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pulling my inner Kyrie Irving, getting all the negative energy out as we're about to embark on season 2 of the Patel and Kumar show. And I just wanted to wish everyone out there a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And we are so excited. The NBA season tips off tonight with two marquee matchups, the Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets, and the Los Angeles Lakers and the Clippers. Mr. Kumar, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, and Santa Claus has coming bearing gifts because the NBA season 2021 is about to kick off tonight for you, and of course tomorrow morning for me with the Nets and the Warriors, and of course my favorite team, the Lakers, playing their arch rivals, the Clippers. And I can't be more excited, Mr. Patel, and we're absolutely more excited for season 2, episode 1 of the Patel and Kumar NBA talk show.
Let's go. Woo. Oh, man.
Let's go, Mr. Patel.
Let's go. Christmas has come early for us NBA fans, and we have an exciting show planned for you today. We're going to preview the marquee matchups tonight and tomorrow morning in India, and you don't want to miss me and Mr. Kumar's picks for the top 8 teams in the East and West, who's going to come out of the West, who's going to come out of the East, and the NBA Finals and MVP predictions. You do not want to miss that. Are you ready, Mr. Kumar?
I was born ready, Mr. Patel.
All right, so our first section is the NBA tip-off section. So, Mr. Kumar, let's talk about the first game on tonight, the Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets. So what are you looking for in this game, and what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I'm most excited to watch Kevin Durant come back after his 18-month layoff after that Achilles injury. And you know what? I mean, the NBA is going to be back in full steam. Going to be KD playing against his former team, that is the Golden State Warriors. And it's exciting to see Steph Curry back as well. But I really would like to see how the Brooklyn Nets are gelling under Steve Nash. And of course, their assistant coach, Mike D'Antoni. So it's going to be a great combination for the Brooklyn Nets. And of course, the Warriors a little bit shorthanded, especially with that last-minute injury for Klay Thompson. I think this team would have been totally different if Klay Thompson would have been there in that lineup.
Right, and also Draymond Green is out tonight for tonight's game also, so James Wiseman's going to be coming in. But I'm intrigued to see how the Warriors are going to fit their new pieces in. You know, they got Kelly Oubre, they got Marquise Chris. How is Andrew Wiggins? Is he going to take that step to be that superstar that many of us thought he would be, you know, coming out of college? Or is he just going to be the average player that he was with the Timberwolves? And also Steph Curry. I want to see Mr. Kumar, is he going to come out aggressive and play like MVP Steph Curry? Or is he going to try to get his teammates involved? Because this is a great opportunity for the Warriors to put themselves on the map and get a marquee win tonight against the Brooklyn Nets, because all the pressure is going to be on the Nets, you know, because it's going to be at a home game, New York. Everybody wanted to watch Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So let's see. I think the Nets may come out a little, or the Warriors may come out a little looser. You know, the Nets might come out a little tighter. So, but I'm very interested to see NBA basketball is back, and man, what a matchup this is going to be. This is going to be a heavyweight matchup.
And I know I got to wake up too early because the game is going to be at 5:30 a.m. India time.
Oh,
and
man.
Of course, at 8:30 a.m. India time, it is the Lakers and the Clippers. But as you mentioned, I think there's pressure on both the teams. Brooklyn Nets, of course, are expected to be one of the top teams in the East. And the Golden State Warriors, of course, after they were the champions a couple of years ago, they really didn't make the playoffs last season because of all the injuries to their personnel. So they are under pressure to probably come back into the playoff scene. So it's going to be a great opening night. I'm excited for both teams. I really would like to see how Kevin Durant is, after the injury, and of course how he's going to be gelling with Kyrie Irving, who almost thought that he couldn't talk to the media, but he had to. So I hope he talks to the media after the game if they lose. So I hope they don't fine him again.
Right. Let's see if he's going to go in hiding, if they lose or not, And in the Instagram live a couple weeks ago, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, Kyrie, I don't know if he was joking or not, Mr. Kumar, but he said he wants at least 4 post-ups a game. So let's see if, he's going to get in the lane or not, But I think we're going to see a lot of pick and roll between Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving because Steve Nash said that he wants to play Kevin Durant more at the 4 position because he's a matchup nightmare, Mr. Kumar. He's too fast for bigs, too big for small forwards. So he can really get anywhere he wants on the court, see how aggressive he's going to play. But the other players, Jarrett Allen, DeAndre Jordan, Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert. Let's see how these guys are going to play and how many shots they're going to get tonight.
Absolutely. And you forgot to mention about Joe Harris, who also
Joe Harris, yeah,
extension with the Brooklyn Nets. It was great to see him come back for the Nets as well because he's a great shooter and they really need his help if they really need to be among the top teams in the East. So once again, it's opening night. What more can you ask for?
Get your popcorn ready.
Brooklyn Nets, or it's Milwaukee Bucks or Miami Heat or whoever the team is. Ultimately, I gotta wake up at 5:30 a.m. and start watching these games.
And I know you will, Mr. Kumar, because these are must-see games. But the games that Mr. Kumar is waiting for, though, is the Los Angeles Clippers against the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers will be unveiling their banner tonight, and after winning the championship last year, and let's see if they're going to repeat this year, Mr. Kumar. So I'm going to give it to you. What do you think is going to happen in this game?
Well, see, it's opening night. You don't know what to expect. I think both teams would probably kind of take it slow because this is going to be it's a very short off season that they had, especially the Lakers, because it's only been about 10 weeks since they won the
71 days.
Since they won the championship. So and they didn't have really a massive training camp as well. So but they did seem pretty good in the preseason games. I really like Talon Horton Tucker. I really like the game of Kuzma, who's probably, an expectation from him to come of age in this season. And he's just got an extension as well. So he should be happy about that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they also added Montrezl Harrell, Wesley Matthews. It's a brand new team for a championship team. I really like to see the combination. And I don't know who's going to be in the playing 5. Starting 5. So let's see how Vogel basically manages the team.
Right, and Dennis Schroeder said a couple weeks ago that he wants to be the starting 5. But come on, let's be real. The Lakers starting point guard is number 23, King James. So let's see how that's going to go. But I think LeBron and the Lakers are going to come and make a statement tonight. They're not going to get usually when you unveil a banner, usually the fans are there. You get a little bit too jacked up. But I think with no fans there, the Lakers are going to be more focused and come out, more determined to win this game. But I think the Clippers, Mr. Kumar, this is a more important game for the Clippers because they need to make a statement after completely embarrassing themselves and choking last year. They need to show that they're legit and this is a new team. I want to see how Tyronn Lue is going to play Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. The minutes. Paul George was not happy on the positions that he was put in last year. He likes to play as a 3, an attacking guard, while Doc Rivers were just making him a stand-up shooter. So let's see how that's going to change this year. And also the others for the Clippers. They got Serge Ibaka. They gave Luke Kennard a major deal, 4 years, $64 million. Marcus Morris is still there. Lou Williams. So I want to see this game more in the facet for the Clippers to see how they respond and how they come opening night.
Absolutely. And Shrishti is asking whether what's the IST for the Warriors and Nets. It's at 5:30 a.m. But unfortunately, Shrishti, there's no network deal yet for NBA in India. So you got to either sign up for the NBA League Pass to watch these games. So it's a little bit sorry state for the Indian fans. And we'll discuss more about it in our Indian Tadka section, of course. But 5:30 a.m. is the start for the Warriors Nets and 8:30 a.m. for the LA Lakers and the Clippers. But I agree with you. I agree with you on the pressure is totally on the
100%.
Clippers, especially the way they got eliminated in the bubble against the Denver. They got to come back strong. They got to prove that they are a legitimate contender in the West. And although they added Serge Ibaka, I really thought they would have gone out and got a real point guard who can probably control the game. Because Patrick Beverley is not really like a point guard. He's a defender. He doesn't average too many points. So yeah, I mean, under Tyronn Lue, it's a new coach, it's a new system, and of course they have Chauncey Billups as an assistant coach as well. So it's a new look team, a new look, staff for the LA Clippers, but it's pretty much the same team. And of course, Serge Ibaka coming up, probably the defense gets a little bit better.
Right, because they were supposed to be this great defensive team last year, and they really struggled, stopping the Denver Nuggets. But I want to see if their culture is better, because you heard about all the toxicity. The role players felt like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George got preferential treatment. They decided the practice schedule. Kawhi Leonard lived in San Diego, for Pete's sake, and he would be like late to the plane when they would go travel on the road. Everybody would be waiting for him. So let's see if Tyronn Lue is going to make them more accountable. And Kawhi Leonard, he needs to be a leader. Their best players need to be leaders, Mr. Kumar. And I think they need to set the example for the Clippers. This is a big year for them, because if it doesn't happen this year, Mr. Kumar, they're not going to win the championship for a foreseeable future.
Yeah, and he was asked the question about whether he's going to stay back for the Clippers or whether he's going to, go for, enter free agency again. Of course, he was pretty focused on this particular season, but he also candidly mentioned that he would probably take the free agency option, but that does not mean that he's going to leave the Clippers. It's just like taking other options in. So, but I mean, Paul George got an extension for 5 years, and they pretty much had to do that because they gave up a lot of picks to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Paul George. Yeah, and I mean, if he pretty much runs away after this season, I mean, that would have been a very sad state of affairs for the Los Angeles Clippers. But they're also, tackling some kind of a controversy in the background, especially with, one of the people suing Jerry West for the deal he made with Kawhi Leonard, and of course, the suit says that he facilitated that particular deal. So. But anyway, I think the NBA is investigating that, and let's wait for the NBA to finish their investigation and come out with the results. But I think it's great for us as NBA fans because we did not know how soon the season is going to start. They were contemplating about starting the season in January. They were contemplating, probably having another bubble. But at the end of the day, playing at least in your home city makes a big difference, but of course there's going to be a lot of travel it's exciting night for us, Warriors and the Nets, and of course the Lakers and the Clippers.
I couldn't ask for two better matchups on opening night, and I'm just grateful, that with 2020, with everything that's happened, that the NBA is back for another season and everybody, stays healthy. We had some positive tests early, but now, been less positive tests, since in the second round of testing. So let's just pray that everybody stays healthy in the NBA and we're able to finish another season and have another successful season. But moving on, Mr. Kumar, to the moving on to the Patel and Kumar pick'em section. So we're going to be picking everything, from the top 8 teams in the East and top 8 teams in the West. But let's start with the Eastern Conference, Mr. Kumar. Who is your top 8 teams?
Oh, well, I think we have to discuss the Christmas games before we go on to the pick'em section. Of course, because we're going to be back to you live on the 30th of December. That's going to be the next show, before the new year, and the last show for 2020. We have a huge lineup of games during Christmas Day, and which starts with the Pelicans and the Warriors playing the Bucks, the Nets playing the Celtics, the Mavericks playing the Lakers, and the Clippers playing their nemesis Nuggets, who eliminated them in the playoffs.
Right. There's a very intriguing games, some very high profile matchups. The matchup that I'm most looking forward to is the Nets and the Celtics, because this is a rivalry. Let's see how Kevin Durant plays against the up and coming young Boston Celtics, with Tatum and Kemba Walker and Jaylen Brown. But even the Mavericks and the Lakers, let's see how young Luka Doncic, who's supposed to be the next great player, in the NBA, take the throne after LeBron and Kevin Durant retires. He's going to go against the Lakers. So I'm very excited to see these matchups.
Absolutely. I think the Warriors and the Bucks is going to be a great matchup. Of course, the Mavericks and the Lakers. I'm a little bit concerned with the Mavericks because they don't have the services of Porzingis. And of course, they lost Seth Curry to the Philadelphia 76ers. But I think the most awaited game is going to be the Clippers and the Nuggets. I mean, it's going to be a different ball game. It's just going to be the start of a season. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's Clippers and Nuggets. You can't ask for a better matchup during Christmas Day.
Oh, man, I feel like the Clippers are just going to come out and destroy the Nuggets. They're going to come in demolition mode, and because they're going to be angry about last year, and they should, destroy the Nuggets, because the Clippers are a better team. And hopefully they'll have revenge on their mind and be on the revenge tour 2021. And we'll see what happens. But all day, Mr. Kumar, I can't wait, Christmas, open the presents, and then just go straight to NBA. So that's going to be an amazing Christmas day.
Absolutely. I think the game starts in India at 10:30 p.m. on, 25th night. So it's pretty much going to be a Boxing Day full of NBA games.
Yeah, boxing, exactly. And that's like a dream for the NBA fan, because there's nothing else going on Christmas Day besides, well, there's a couple of NFL games, but all NBA, NBA is going to take over the day, and I cannot wait. But now moving on, Mr. Kumar, to the pick'em section. So I'll let you go first. Who are your top 8 teams in the Eastern Conference?
Well, I mean, it's pretty much certain that there are going to be 3 or 4 teams who are going to be probably, pretty certain to come out from there. I picked the Milwaukee Bucks to go number 1. I picked the Brooklyn Nets to go number 2. I think the Philadelphia 76ers are also going to be a different team to what they were last year. So I picked them as number 3. I picked the Miami Heat as number 4. Boston Celtics goes down a little bit because I think they didn't do much during the free agency, except for getting maybe Tristan Thompson in the lineup. I have the Atlanta Hawks coming in at number 6 because I think they did a wonderful job during the free agency, getting Rondo, getting Bogdan Bogdanovic, and of course, Washington Wizards, man. I mean, with Russell Westbrook and I forget his name. What is the other player's name?
Danilo Gallinari.
No. Yeah, Gallinari in the Hawks, but I'm talking about the Washington Wizards. A brain freeze for me.
That was Bertans.
Bertans, and of course they had, and then of course I picked the Toronto Raptors as number 8. So I think I left out Indiana Pacers out from your list. Who you thought they would come at number 7?
Right. So for my top 8 teams in the Eastern Conference, of course, it's a no-brainer. The Milwaukee Bucks number 1. Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks have completely dominated the regular season the last couple of years. No reason not to put them at number 1. The Brooklyn Nets at number 2, because I think they're the second best team in the Eastern Conference, both talent-wise and skill-wise. So I think the Brooklyn Nets deserve to be in the number 2 spot. The Boston Celtics at number 3, because I still think they're going to come back more experienced. I know they're missing Kemba Walker at the beginning of the season, but I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum will be able to hold it down. I like the move of Tristan Thompson to get it big, because rim protection was a huge negative against Miami Heat specifically. The Philadelphia 76ers at number 4. I was debating to put them at number 3, Mr. Kumar, but Joel Embiid with this cracking knees and Ben Simmons and not being able to shoot, I think they're going to take some games off, and they're going to still have to fit together chemistry wise. So I think they're safe at number 4. The Miami Heat, I believe they're going to be right where they were last year at number 5. Because first of all, they're not going to have the advantage of the bubble. And I got a couple of DMs, Mr. Kumar, after the polls asking why didn't I put the Miami Heat, in the championship contention? But I don't think they got any better than they did last year. And they don't have a second superstar besides, Jimmy Butler. And I think that's going to hurt them. The Toronto Raptors at number 6. Only reason I put them at number 6 is because of Nick Nurse. He's such an amazing coach. He was a coach of the year last year. He's going to do wonders with Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam this year. So I think they're number 6. Indiana Pacers at number 7. They did get a new coach, but they still have, Malcolm Brogdon, Victor Oladipo, Domantas Sabonis. So I think that's enough of a nuclear to be able to be in the playoffs. And number 8, the team that I believe won the free agency, the Atlanta Hawks, getting Rajon Rondo, Chris Dunn, Danilo Gallinari, Bojan Bogdanovic. You got shooters around Trae Young. They're going to be really hard to stop. Returning players, John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, and Cam Reddish. So I think the Hawks are going to sneak in the playoffs at number 8.
Well, I mean, Hitesh Ranglani says Miami Heat did kind of get better as they added Avery Bradley. Yeah, I mean, Avery Bradley is a good veteran presence, but, he's not like the difference maker that probably the Miami Heat needed. They do get that experience. They do get that experience, but at the end of the day, I mean, I thought the situation was totally different in the bubble. Mm-hmm. If you have a series today between the Bucks and the Miami Heat, I would pick the Bucks 100 out of 100 times. I would never pick the Miami Heat. So it's going to be to add to that, the East got a little bit better because the Brooklyn Nets are better. The Philadelphia 76ers are better. The Atlanta Hawks are better. The Washington Wizards got better. So that's the reason why I feel it's going to be very tough for a team like Miami Heat to probably go on, and come out of the East. And as you rightly said, I was pretty much, trying to pick between the Indiana Pacers and the Toronto Raptors for the number 8 seed in the East. Because Toronto Raptors didn't do much during this free agency. I mean, they pretty much have to work with Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, and Pascal Siakam. They lost Marc Gasol. They lost Serge Ibaka. So, I mean, it's pretty much like going to be a very small team compared to, other teams, especially against the Bucks and the Nets, and of course the Philadelphia 76ers. So that's the reason I picked. I just gave them a little bit of an edge for the same reason as you did, is because of the coach Nick Nurse.
Right, he won the Coach of the Year, and he's one of the up-and-coming head coaches, in the NBA. And just quickly, my debate, Mr. Kumar, was between the Hawks and the Wizards. I know you put the Wizards in, but I just like the core of the Hawks a little bit better. I don't know how Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook is going to mesh together. Whether they have enough of talent, to come in the playoffs. But the East is going to be very exciting this year, Mr. Kumar. We have some solid teams, and I can see any of those teams, the Bucks, the Nets, or the Sixers, or even the Celtics coming out of the East. I wouldn't be surprised at either of the 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the Eastern Conference anymore, if that's what you mean. So it's going to be exciting to see the East as well. There are going to be 4 teams that are really going to be, in the mix to come out of the East.
Right. So
and of course, you don't know what's going to happen with the Philadelphia 76ers in terms of trading Ben Simmons for James Harden or something like that. I mean, James Harden is still in the market, so there's going to be a lot of teams. Yeah, a lot of teams interested. So it remains to be seen where does James Harden fit in.
And Daryl Morey did say that he was going to trade Ben Simmons, but he said the same thing about Russell Westbrook. And what happened? He's with the Wizards now. So you can't take Daryl Morey's word for that. And let's see what's going to happen, whether he's going to experiment with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Let's see how they do, because I still think this tandem has a lot of potential, Mr. Kumar. And real quick, I like what Doc Rivers said about Tobias Harris, who he's kind of forgotten about. He said he wants him to make quicker decisions. He was dribbling too much last year. Tobias Harris is best when he's going downhill, attacking the basket. So they're going to play a lot faster. So I like where the 76ers are headed, and I think they have a chance to be special this season.
Yeah, and as you said, Tobias Harris has played under Doc Rivers in the LA Clippers, so
He
that's
has.
one of the that's one of the key reasons probably Doc Rivers mentions about making quicker decisions.
Mhm.
So I think he really knows Tobias Harris's game, and probably he could mold him to become a better shooter. So the East was called weak when LeBron was there. Then LeBron goes to West. Then most of the good to East. Do you think the players don't like to face LeBron during playoffs before finals? I think that's an obvious answer, Hitesh, because as you rightly mentioned, people are now going to the East because LeBron is in the West.
Yeah, and people said I have to give LeBron credit. People said that he couldn't win in the West, but look what he did. His second year, number one seed, winning the championship. In the East, the Toronto Raptors had such good seasons, Mr. Kumar, but they became the baby dinosaurs and they couldn't get past it. So and look what happened. So I think that was right, Hitesh, and a right on comment. And I think you're right, Mr. Kumar.
Yeah, so let's move on to our conference finals, and the championship predictions.
What about the
But,
top eight in the West? Top eight in the West?
yeah. Oh, sorry. I totally forgot. We kept talking so much that I lost track of time, because this is the most interesting part, actually, the West. Because picking teams in the West, it's actually getting more difficult, because it's like a lot of teams got stronger. A lot of the bottom teams got stronger. So, the 5, 6, 7, 8 is like a very, very difficult choice for me, at least. So I picked the Lakers to be number one. I picked the Clippers to be number two. I picked the Portland Trailblazers number three, because they did a lot of good moves during the offseason, especially getting Robert Covington and other players. I'm very surprised what Denver Nuggets did. They let Jeremy Grant go, and they didn't.
Yeah.
They just signed up, gave an extension to Paul Millsap. So I think they got a little bit weaker, if I would say. Golden State Warriors remain at number 5, especially because Klay Thompson got injured. I picked the Utah Jazz to come in at number 6 because of the young core of, Donovan Mitchell. And I picked the New Orleans Pelicans to come in at number 7. I think Zion Williamson, Eric Bledsoe, Steven Adams, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram. I think this is a great lineup, and I really think that they could qualify for the playoffs this season. And at number 8, I picked the Phoenix Suns.
Very interesting list, Mr. Kumar.
Yeah, because you would be very surprised that I left out Dallas Mavericks from this list.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where I was going to go to. But let me give my list. But the Patel's picks, number 1, easy choice, Los Angeles Lakers. They improve their team. They have LeBron James, Anthony Davis, 2 top 5 players in the NBA. So that's an easy choice. Number 2, Denver Nuggets. I still think, like Mr. Kumar rightly said, the loss of Jeremy Grant was a huge, because he decided to go to the Pistons and they didn't really match that offer. But I still think the Nuggets have enough. I'm banking on the emergence of Michael Porter Jr., Mr. Kumar, as to be the third star with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. He needs to improve on the defensive end, but I think he has enough offense where he'll be able to carry the scoring load of Jeremy Grant. Number 3, Los Angeles Clippers. They are going to load manage, but they're going to load manage less, and I think they're going to make it a point to have a better seed, in the regular season. So they'll be the 3rd seed. The number 4 seed, the Portland Trailblazers. Dame time. Dame had the best, bubble out of anybody. I think, with Collins coming back, Yusuf Nurkic. They still have CJ McCollum. So I think the Portland Trailblazers are poised to make a run this year, at the Western Conference. They did get Robert Covington. They still have Gary Trent Jr. So I like their overall team and their overall depth. So look for the Portland Trailblazers to make noise, in the Western Conference. Number 5 is the Golden State Warriors. I would have had them higher if they had Klay Thompson, Mr. Kumar, but I need to see how Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Oubre play and how James Wiseman fits in as a big man with this Golden State Warriors team. Number 6 is the Utah Jazz. They had a lot of expectations last year. People thought they had a chance to go to the Western Conference Finals, but let's see how Donovan Mitchell plays on his new deal. They still have Mike Conley. Rudy Gobert, Mr. Kumar, got $205 million. That's crazy. But he's still a great defensive anchor and great player around the basket. So I think the Utah Jazz are rightly at number 6. At number 7, the Dallas Mavericks. They're going to be the same at where they are last year because they're not going to have Kristaps Porzingis. It was a huge loss that they lost Seth Curry because he was a great floor spacer, for Luka Doncic. They do bring in Josh Richardson, who's a 3-and-D player. But I like the Mavericks' emphasis this offseason on defense, because they were one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA last year, one of the best offensive teams, but you saw where that got them. So I think they're trying to, at least win a round in the playoffs. And number 8, the Phoenix Suns. Actually, I take it back because I said the Hawks won the free agency last segment. I think the Suns won the free agency, actually, because getting Chris Paul, what an amazing pickup, the Phoenix Suns had. He's going to be a great leader for DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker. And I think Chris Paul is going to bring a veteran presence and bring a winning mindset to this Phoenix Suns team.
Yeah, Hitesh Ranglani says, I'd keep Mavericks in my top 4 at least. And let's not count out Luka Magic and Kristaps. I mean, I totally understand where you come from, Hitesh, but what I feel is that Luka cannot get it done alone.
Right.
The problem is Kristaps Porzingis is not going to be there at least for the first half of the season. We don't know whether he's going to come back at the later part of the season. And, of course, they lost Seth Curry as well. So it's going to be a very difficult proposition, especially because Luka is not a really great defender. He's a really great offensive player, and he can create magic in the offensive part. But defensively, I think this team, as you rightly said, needs more support. And that is something that probably will hurt them at being in the West. So if Kristaps Porzingis doesn't come back sooner to the lineup, I don't even see them qualifying for the playoffs.
Yeah, I can see that because you saw, Luka Doncic gets kind of beat up because team play very physical on him. He's not really that great of a three-point shooter. He's shooting like in the low 30s. So let's see if he's improved his three-point shooting game and his free throw game. But I think, he has a chance to at least keep them, above water when Kristaps Porzingis is gone. Maybe in the 500, then maybe they'll make a run once he comes back. Hopefully, the new year, January or February. But I think that's exactly right. And I think your reasons are valid, Mr. Kumar. If Kristaps Porzingis was there, I'll be like, why aren't you not putting the Dallas Mavericks in the playoffs? But I think you have the right rationale.
Yeah, because, he's a difference maker and a great, and Luka needs that support.
He does.
And losing Seth Curry was also a big setback for the Mavericks. And like I tell you, I think the New Orleans Pelicans, they got a lot better. Zion Williamson is going to be in his second season, and hopefully he's going to remain injury-free. Maybe his condition his body better. Condition his body better. Brandon Ingram got an extension, the rookie extension. Lonzo Ball, great point guard, and they get a good second point guard in Eric Bledsoe, and of course a nice center in Steven Adams.
Right. I think this Pelicans team, was supposed to make the playoffs last year, having the easiest schedule in the bubble, but they, ended up, failing, and the Memphis Grizzlies and the Portland Trailblazers ended up playing in the play-in game. But yeah, I like where the direction the Pelicans are headed. Zion Williamson, he said he's going to do more. He's going to be able to show more of a skill set this year. I still kind of question the fit with Stan Van Gundy as a coach, because he's an older coach and he has a younger team. And I don't know if his philosophy in the NBA is kind of outdated, but I think he has enough young talent where even if it is, it can compensate for his coaching. But I like this Pelicans team. Even our friends, Memphis Grizzlies, our friend Coach Taylor Jenkins, I think they at least have a chance to, make it in the play-in tournament and make it interesting, Mr. Kumar. But it's going to be a wild, wild West this year for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tough proposition for Coach Taylor because it's a very young team. Of course, Ja Morant, rookie of the year, and you expect him to do wonders. And of course, there is Jaren Jackson, a young player. So I think, and Valanciunas, so also in the lineup. But I think it's going to be very, very tough for a young team like the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, I'm cheering for them. But like you said, they need a lot of things to go right. And they need Ja to be able to take that step in the second year, maybe at an all-star level, and Jaren Jackson to be able to stay healthy. But we'll see, Mr. Kumar. Anything can happen in this wild NBA season that's about to embark on. But now let's move on to our picks on who's going to come out of the East and the West. So I'll let you go first, Mr. Kumar. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I mean, me and you weren't too totally different, especially while picking the conference finalists. You picked the Bucks and the Nets. I picked the Bucks and the Nets. Lakers and Clippers for me. I think that's kind of the right choice. Finals, I think the Bucks might do a little bit better than the Nets this season, and I picked the Bucks to come into the finals. And of course, I mean, in my sleep, I would always pick the LA Lakers to win the championship.
Oh man, that's an easy pick, Mr. Kumar. I'm going with the Brooklyn Nets to win the championship. Yes, you heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. But first, my coming out of the East, the reason I picked the Brooklyn Nets to beat the Bucks, because I just trust the superstars, Kyrie Irving and Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie, rather than Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton. So I think the Nets have more star power, and as you know, Mr. Kumar, stars win in this league. So I think the Nets are going to out-talent the Milwaukee Bucks. But the finals, Kevin Durant against LeBron James, that's going to be just a magical finals. It's going to be just an amazing matchup. I think Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are on a mission to prove that they can lead this Brooklyn Nets team, to a championship. I trust Kevin Durant in the biggest stage because he's one of the most clutchest players in the NBA. There was a GM poll asking who would you rather take the last shot, and Kevin Durant, I believe, was in the top 3. He's beaten LeBron twice in the finals, in 2017 and 2018 with the Warriors, and he was the finals MVP. So I think he has LeBron James's number in the NBA finals, and I think the Brooklyn Nets are going to hoist the trophy.
Oh, well, I mean, Hitesh definitely thinks that, the Brooklyn Nets is going to be in the finals.
Let's go, Hitesh. But, good choice, buddy.
Yeah, but I think the difference maker for LeBron is going to be Anthony Davis. I mean, when he played Kevin Durant the first time, when he faced them in the finals, it was a pretty short-handed team. I mean, you got to agree to that, So I think it's going to be it's going to be a great matchup. I think the NBA would probably want that because then the ratings are going to go skyrocketing. But I think I'll pick. I am picking the Bucks because I think Jan will prove himself after taking a max extension.
Mr. Kumar, we've seen the Bucks not get out of the East the last 2 years. I don't know how much you can trust them. We put all the eggs in their basket last year and they didn't make it, and the bubble was a perfect opportunity for the Bucks. So I just don't trust Giannis. In the playoffs, I don't think that he's geared. His game is expanded enough to be able to successfully win in the playoffs and get to the finals. But I think people are underrating Steve Nash, Mr. Kumar. He's a competitor. Remember, he was with the Golden State Warriors. I think he has something up his sleeve. He's going to use Kyrie Irving the same way as the Suns use Steve Nash. I think he's going to make him a downhill point guard and allow him to facilitate and really be an effective player. So I think Kyrie Irving is going to be the new Steve Nash this year, Mr. Kumar.
Well, I mean, if you think so, but I mean, it's a great coaching staff with Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni. But I think the pressure is on Budenholzer as well as Giannis.
Exactly.
I think there's equal pressure on Budenholzer, who's been a coach of the year. He knows, how to coach. I would just give a slight edge to the coaching of Budenholzer than Steve Nash, who's a rookie coach, and he's not had any coaching experience before. But of course, he's been a great point guard for the Phoenix Suns, a 2-time MVP. Yep. So it's. But again, I think if at all Brooklyn Nets crumble, it's only going to be because of the drama that surrounds, that team.
Oh, there's going to be drama for sure, Mr. Kumar. Kyrie and drama mixed together very well. He couldn't play in Cleveland. He was not happy. He wasn't happy in Boston. Let's see if he's finally happy, with the Brooklyn Nets. And let's see if they take coaching, because Kyrie Irving said a couple months ago that, hey, we don't need a coach. So let's see if they're going to listen to Steve Nash or it's going to go through one ear, out through the other. But I'm very curious to see. But talent-wise, this team has a chance, to win the championship and compete against the Lakers. But Mr. Kumar, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say that, I know these are all extremely early predictions,
Mhm.
and we're just gonna, I mean, it's like from the top of our head because, of course, we don't know how things are going to change. But at the end of the day, we're gonna come back to this, Mr. Patel, because I think I'm certain I'm going to beat you fair and square, just like last season.
Oh no, this is gonna be different, Mr. Kumar. There's no bubble this year, so if you want to trust the right picks, go with Mr. Patel, the fan favorite on the show, the brains of the show, and I think I'm gonna get you this year, Mr. Kumar.
You got to prove yourself, Mr. Patel.
Oh man, Mr. Kumar, I got this year. We'll see what's going to happen. But we asked the audience poll asking who will win the Eastern Conference, and 55% say the Nets, Mr. Kumar. So they agree with me. So I think that's very interesting. Compared to 28% for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, because of the star power. It's just simple reason. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So I wouldn't fault the audience to pick the Nets as coming out of the East.
Right. So, and I think that, they're going to, they made the right choice, with going with the Brooklyn Nets. But we also asked the audience who will come out of the Western Conference. And it looks like, most of the audience did say the Los Angeles Lakers, and they agreed with Mr. Kumar. And, I can't go wrong. I'm not a Lakers fan, Mr. Kumar, but you have to be real. I think the Lakers are the best team head over shoulders in the West. And I just don't see another team that could beat them talent-wise and just compete with them.
Of course, but I'm pretty surprised that 30% of the people actually picked the Warriors to come out of the West. I mean, I think I would, I would lose my sleep if the Warriors actually come out of the West.
I think they're just, banking on Steph Curry just having an MVP type of year. But, let's see what's going to happen because the Warriors got a higher percentage of the Clippers. And I guess people just completely lost faith in the Los Angeles Clippers, the team in the basement, in Staples Center. And we also asked the audience who will come out of the Eastern Conference. And it looks like most of the audience did say, or excuse me, not. We asked the audience who will win the NBA Finals. And most of the audience did say the Los Angeles Lakers, Mr. Kumar. And what do you think about this?
Well, I don't need to think because it's a very easy answer. 60% people picking the low. I mean, they really got stronger and younger. And if they could have won last season, I think the expectation is for them to win this season as well because they have the personnel to do it, and I think they have set themselves up to repeat as champions.
Well, I'm surprised only 25% said the Nets. I guess I'm in the minority in that quarter that said the Nets are going to win the championship. You just have to. Well, let's just see. I think most of the people agree it's either going to be the Bucks and the Lakers for the finals or the Nets and the Lakers, for the finals. So I think that's fair to say.
And it's all about. It's only been a few weeks before the finals ended and the Lakers won the championship, and people have not seen Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving play together. So it's the euphoria as well. So, but I think, overall, if you rate on a scale of 1 to 10, on which team improved drastically, I would really rate at least an 8 for the Lakers.
Oh yeah, you have to say 8 or above. The Lakers had the best. Best offseason in terms of improving their team, for the finals. And Hitesh says, no disrespect to these players, but I think any team led by Giannis, Harden, and PG and Westbrook will not win a ring. They'll be great individually, but they don't involve other players. And you're exactly right, Hitesh. Giannis really, he's a little bit better of a passer than James Harden is, but James Harden, as dribbles the ball for like 20 seconds, so then just jacks up a shot, and Westbrook is just, he plays hard, Mr. Kumar, but he's really out of control at times.
Absolutely. It's a difficult. Of course, Giannis has to prove himself. Russell Westbrook, Paul George. They've not been really great during the playoffs, and they can't get along with teams and stuff. They have a lot of drama. Harden, of course, he's in a very peculiar situation because he's demanding a trade from Houston Rockets. Yeah, and the Houston Rockets are holding out. Of course, they should hold out because they're going to be paying 40. They can just give away a player who's one of the top scorers in the league and paying him $40 million and just get garbage for it, right? I mean, so they need, I mean, they are totally in the right if they have to get good assets in order to ship out James Harden. And I don't really know how many teams in this league can really part with a superstar from their team, for James Harden.
Right, because, the Sixers are trying to get maybe they'll include, Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid, but we'll see if that trade happens. It may happen during, the trade deadline, but that's something to watch out for. We got to move on, Mr. Kumar, to our MVP predictions. And this is our preseason picks again. So who's going to win the MVP? For me, I'm going to go with Luka Doncic. I think he's going to have a monster year, put up crazy numbers, especially with Kristaps Porzingis being out for the first part of the season. Number 2, I think Anthony Davis, who I believe should have won the Finals MVP last year. I think he's going to put up really strong numbers again this year and completely dominate. And 3, LeBron James, because LeBron James is still going to be very relevant, still going to average probably over 25 points a game. But I think, between Anthony Davis and LeBron James, they might take a few votes away from each other, but they're going to be the top players in the NBA.
Well, my choice is definitely going to be a little bit different because, as I said, I mean, I didn't pick the Dallas Mavericks to come out into the playoffs from the West, so I couldn't pick Luka Doncic. I mean, he would be a great player, but historically, you've seen that. I mean, they give the MVP to a team which has the best record, or something like that. So I think it's going to be Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis has been, phenomenal for the Lakers, and I think he is going to transcend into a better player this season now that he has the experience and that the pressure has pretty much come down on him in terms of winning a championship, winning a playoff series, which he couldn't do in New Orleans. So I also feel that LeBron James is going to facilitate that particular thing so that he elevates his game. I still feel Giannis is going to be in the mix once again. I mean, they're going to be. We both have predicted that the Bucks are going to be the number 1 team in the East, and of course Kevin Durant. I mean, he's returning back after 18 months of layoff, but still, I mean, he's one of the best players in the game today, and about it. So the only thing stopping Kevin Durant is maybe his fitness levels.
Yeah, let's just see how he comes back, with his Achilles, how much he's going to play, because, they're going to be played like 3 games in 4 nights. It's going to be a crazy schedule, but I think he's going to be totally fine. But I just think that him and Kyrie Irving, might take away from one another. That's why I didn't put him, in the MVP discussion. He might not play the minutes necessary to win the MVP. But I think, Luka Doncic, it's just a numbers award, Mr. Kumar. And I think he's going to put up the numbers on the Dallas Mavericks team that runs through him. He is basically the Dallas Mavericks. If he plays well, the Dallas Mavericks win. If he struggles, you saw they struggle. They don't win. So I think it's all Luka Doncic or bust.
Luka Doncic, he's going to score 40 points. He's going to average 40, 12, and maybe, 8 rebounds, right? But at the end of the day, if the team is not going to make the playoff, there's no chance that people are going to vote him for the MVP, because all he did was jack up points on a team that didn't even make the playoffs.
I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think
I know, but even if they make the playoffs, if they're like you pick them to be the number 7 team or the 6th team, know?
Yeah.
Do you think the NBA media is going to vote him to become the MVP just because his team qualified for the playoffs?
I think go ahead.
There's going to be like 2 or 3 game difference between number 7 and number 9. I don't think it's going to be that vast that you qualify him to become the MVP.
I think the evaluators are going to look at it that like Luka Doncic really doesn't have another star, with Kristaps Porzingis being in and out of the lineup. I think they're going to give him the benefit of doubt for that. And also, I think they're going to want to change, new blood in the MVP, because Giannis won the last 2 years, but he's struggled in the playoffs. So I don't think they're going to give it to Giannis, even if he has an MVP type of season, because they're going to go based on the playoffs, even though it's just supposed to be a regular season award. And I think the media, you've seen, they've fallen in love with Luka Doncic, Mr. Kumar. He's a personable guy. He's an international guy. He's a likable dude. So I think they're going to, all that stuff is going to influence them to pick Luka Doncic. But he's got to put up the numbers. If he doesn't put up the numbers and the Mavericks aren't in the playoffs, like you said, this is all a moot point. He's not winning MVP.
Yeah, and that's the reason I picked Anthony Davis. I mean, but who will win MVP? Actually, I mean, most people think it's going to be LeBron James. I mean, I'm pretty surprised by that because I feel he may do some kind of load management this season because the Lakers have the personnel to win games without LeBron James. And that's one of the key things. I don't think he's going to play, 72 games, of course. I mean, I think he's going to be anywhere between 58 to 62 games during the season.
Yeah, I think he's going to take it easy, especially, at the beginning of the season, Mr. Kumar. But I think he's just going to still put up the high impact numbers needed, I think, to be in the MVP contention. And I think this also has to do with last year. People felt like he should have won the MVP instead of Giannis, and the season didn't stop in March. He was already on an upward trend, having that last weekend, beating the Clippers, beating the Bucks. And he just shows up in big-time games, Mr. Kumar. He plays the best when the lights are the brightest. And I think people are banking on that. And the storyline, age 30, he's about to be 36 in December, at the end of December, playing at this high of a level and still really having no drop-off. I think he has a great chance to be MVP. And the Lakers are going to be good, exactly like you said. They're going to be in championship contention. So that's going to be another feather in LeBron James's cap.
Absolutely. Let's hope for just playoff mode for LeBron James, because all I wanted to see is LeBron James in the playoffs and winning the championship again for the Lakers.
Oh, he's a beast, Mr. Kumar. I'm not a Lakers fan, but I do respect LeBron James's, the way he's been playing. And I want to see him. I want to see the best go up against each other. So I want to see the top two players in the NBA play in the NBA Finals, Kevin Durant and LeBron James. Let's cross our fingers that that's going to happen.
Yeah. So just on an offshoot of this, who do you think is going to have the most pressure of performing this season?
I think it has to be Giannis Antetokounmpo because, he's really struggled on the last two playoffs. I know he's getting a pass for his age, but this is the year, Mr. Kumar, that if you can't win, a championship in these next couple of years with the Bucks, I think he's going to be thought of as a player that can not really carry a team. And he signed a long-term deal, with the Milwaukee Bucks. He's going to be committed there. So I think he's going to try to win with a small market team. But, let's see what he can do. This is going to be his best team. He's going to have True Holiday, Chris Middleton. I would have really liked it if he had Bogdanovich, but let's see what's going to happen. But I think a lot of pressure is going to be on Giannis Antetokounmpo. What about you, Mr. Kumar? I want to hear this. What player is going to be under the most pressure in your opinion?
I think it's, in my opinion, it's Kevin Durant. He's coming off after a long layoff, 18 months, and coming off from an Achilles injury is not so easy as, many people in the past haven't really come back. And more importantly, when he left, due to injury, it was always talked about that. He took the crown away from LeBron James, and then LeBron James wins another championship this past season. And, so the pressure is on Kevin Durant to reclaim that throne. And, people have been comparing him and LeBron James, since the last, almost since 2012, when both played in the finals, when LeBron was in Miami. But, so it's always been like who's a better player, whether it's Kevin Durant or LeBron James. But at the end of the day, Kevin Durant is a great player. So all he needs to do is prove himself this season. So that's why I feel there's a lot more pressure. And plus, what has happened is when he went to the Warriors weren't Kevin Durant's team. It was always Steph Curry's team. It was always Klay Thompson's team. It was always Draymond Green's team. Because those three were in the Warriors much before Kevin Durant came in. So when he went to the Brooklyn Nets, now it's Kevin Durant's team. Mm-hmm. He needs to carry this entire team on his shoulder. And of course, also keep a control on Kyrie Irving. So that's one of
his biggest challenge.
So that's one of the key reasons why I feel that there's a lot of pressure on Kevin Durant.
I think that's very fair points you made, Mr. Kumar, because he was kind of out of sight last year, but I think people are going to be reminded of his greatness this year. But Mr. Kumar, is it time for our favorite section of the show?
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be the spiciest section on YouTube. It is the Patel and Kumar NBA talk show, Indian Tadka. Hey, welcome back, everyone, and welcome to the Patel and Kumar NBA talk show, Indian Tadka. And we have some good news and some bad news, of course. So I think the people would want to hear the good news first, because it is the season of giving. It is the season of Mary. So let's go ahead with the good news, and it's our previous guest on the show, Sanjana Ramesh, who's probably the second female player to get a D1 scholarship, who's playing for the Northern Arizona University. Finally made her, not appearance, but finally made points as a sophomore. So she's probably the youngest player of from India in a D1 college to score points. And, it has been fantastic to see her, play for the university and play the games. So Kavita Akula, who was the first player to get a D1 scholarship, she did join as a junior. So basically, we just claiming that Sanjana Ramesh, is basically, we gave her all the good luck when she came on to our show.
Oh, we did.
So there's Sanjana Ramesh, scoring some points for Northern Arizona. She made her. She did not get too many minutes playing as a freshman, but she has been put into the lineup right now. So congratulations to Sanjana Ramesh.
A major congratulations to Sanjana Ramesh, and it was great to have her on the show. If you missed that episode, be sure to check it out. Our season 1, we interviewed, had a great conversation with Sanjana Ramesh, and major congratulations.
Her career there, she knocks down 2. It's a 3-point lead.
But we must have been a good luck charm, Mr. Kumar. And to all the Indian ballers out there, if you want good luck, be sure to come on the Patel and Kumar show, and you will be definitely making
inside. Good job, bud.
Look at that, Mr. Kumar, how aggressive she's being. I love that.
Sorry, I can't. There's some technical problems, so go ahead, Shivam.
So major congratulations again, to Sanjana Ramesh. She's still very young. A sophomore, at Northern Arizona University, and there's going to be many more points to come, and she's going to end up having a very fabulous career. And we look forward to seeing her trajectory, and continue to see how she continues to improve, throughout the season and for her last 2 years in college. So again, props to Sanjana Ramesh.
Well, it's great for Sanjana. I think it's good for Indian players as well to get some kind of inspiration from Sanjana, because it's not so easy to get a D1 scholarship.
No, it's
there have been a lot of players. Yeah, because a lot of players right now are coming into the college scene. There is Harsimran Kaur and other players, Anne-Marie Zakaria. She's also playing for some prep school. So we got to see. The future is pretty bright for some of these Indian, women players who've gone on to get some kind of scholarship in U.S. universities. But it gives you a great experience. And, you never know. We might probably see the first Indian WNBA player pretty soon.
Oh man, let's hope, and like Mr. Kumar said, it's a great inspiration that anything is possible and you can, continue to work hard and, and dream and you can get, D1 scholarship and make your basketball career, be able to have a successful basketball career, whether it's overseas or in the WNBA.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's the good news, but there are two bad news. The first bad news is finally, the National Anti-Doping Agency, gave a penalty to Satnam Singh. He's been banned for 2 years on taking some banned substances. The only good part about it is the ineligibility commenced from 19th November 2019, which means that he'll be eligible to play for the Indian team or any kind of competition only from November 2021. So that means we are without his services in the Indian national team in the coming window for the FIBA Asia qualification.
And that's going to be a huge loss, Mr. Kumar. It's such an important, tournament trying to qualify for the FIBA Asia qualifiers. But that means, everybody else is going to have to step up, and they're going to have to play together more as a collective team. But, hope everything works out, for Satnam Singh and he's able to make it back on the basketball court soon. So best of luck, to Satnam Singh.
Yeah, best of luck. And unfortunately, sometimes you got to take this in your stride and hopefully he makes a comeback pretty soon. I mean, comes back pretty strong out of this. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's a loss of 2 years, and it's not easy to make a comeback, after 2 years of non-participation. So, and the other bad news is that, unfortunately for Indian fans and NBA fans in India, they don't have a choice, but they got to probably watch the games only on League Pass or NBA Game Time. They got to subscribe for it because the NBA in India still does not have a network deal or a streaming deal.
Oh man!
So it's going to be, probably only League Pass as the option for Indian viewers.
Yeah, and that's going to be really tough. Like Mr. Kumar said, either watch on League Pass or you're going to have to watch, the highlights on YouTube. But hopefully, it comes back and they figure out the network situation to bring basketball back, NBA basketball back in India. Because from the fans that we've had on the show and then the comments, Mr. Kumar, there's a lot of hardcore NBA basketball fans and they deserve to watch, the NBA games. So let's hope that the networks get it back and the NBA basketball is back in India.
Absolutely. I mean, we just hope that we can watch the games. I have League Pass, so I'm going to be a little bit selfish and tell the others I'm going to be watching the games at 5:30 a.m.
He's going to be up bright and early. Set that alarm early, 5:30 a.m. But he's going to watch his beloved Lakers and beloved LeBron James. But again, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
Well, thank you again for watching this episode of the Patel and Kumar show. We're going to see whose predictions are more right. It's going to be Mr. Patel's. But again, thank you for the live comments, all the interaction. We really enjoy it. And be sure to tune into our next episode, December 30th at 8 p.m. India time.
That is is it a Tuesday? I think. Is it a
Wednesday?
I think Wednesday.
Yeah.
December 30th, yes, and we have a special guest who's going to make a very important announcement as well. We have Rohit Bakshi from 3BL who's going to be joining us on our show on December 30th. So please tune in to our show. Please make sure you subscribe to the Ekalavya's YouTube channel and also the Patel Pick and Roll Sports YouTube channel to watch our show live. We're going to be live on Thursdays at 8 p.m. In the new year in 2021. But these are the two special episodes we're doing. And on December 30th, we're also going to be discussing the Christmas games. Yeah. But again, connect with us on Instagram and Twitter at Patel and Kumar is our handle. So Merry Christmas everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Stay safe, and we just wish this whole Corona thing gets over pretty soon. But we'll be back with you on December 30th.
Set your reminders. We'll see y'all then. Kevin Durant! NBA Finals!